All right, you're watching TVC Breakfast with Mike Okocha, and I have my guests in the house to help us make sense of some of the headlines we'll be looking at today and talking. We have Dr. Ekere from the University of Lagos here with us. Dr. Ekere, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good to see you.
Yes, good to be here again.
And we have Odufowokan here as well. Dari, good morning.
Good morning.
Great.
It's a pleasure visiting you.
Nice to see you. Now let's begin with the Punch newspaper. Punch newspaper says that governors NLC doubt fuel consumption. NNPC demands 3 trillion naira for subsidy. Governors NLC doubt the fuel consumption. NNPC demands 3 trillion naira for subsidy. There is a lot of fraud in consumption and distribution figures. Fireme is saying this. Reps raise 28 member panels to probe daily fuel consumption. Refineries. Nigeria risks bankruptcy as fuel subsidy continues. Experts warn Nigeria, or warn the federal government, right? Okay, let's have that on the side. This day is next, and it says cash-strapped federal government approves 3 trillion naira, 17.5% of 2022 budget to sustain subsidy. Cash-strapped federal government approves 3 trillion naira. 3 trillion naira. That's 17.5% of 2022 budget to sustain subsidy. Subsidy alone for oil. Okay, to send supplementary appropriation to National Assembly and mandates Finance Ministry to reconcile payment with NNPC. NLC knocks government over 18-month timeline, and so on. All right, let's keep that also aside somewhere. Daily Trust is next. Federal government approves 3 trillion naira for subsidy, warns of tough times ahead. Okay, Nigerians prepare, because this our decision is going to impact on you. Federal government approves 3 trillion naira for subsidy, warns of tough times ahead. That's on the Daily Trust. Okay, the Guardian is next. Guardian says governors Labour kick as NNPC presents 3 trillion naira subsidy bill to the Federal Executive Council. Nigeria Governors Forum, Labour leaders seek forensic probe of NNPC's figures. All right, and so many other riders there allege fraud in consumption and distribution numbers. You know, when they say the figures, the amount of consumption of daily fuel and monthly fuel and yearly fuel has increased. All right, the Nation newspaper is next. We're going. It says government to fund petrol subsidy with 3 trillion naira in 1 year. And the Federal Executive Council okays 2.557 trillion naira supplementary budget. And presidency, we will borrow to meet obligations. We will borrow, don't worry, we will borrow. That's what the Nation says. Let's go to First News. NNPC demands 3 trillion naira for fuel subsidy on the First Nation. NNPC demands 3 trillion naira for fuel subsidy. Okay, now let's go to Leadership newspaper. Now, Leadership says fuel subsidy, heat turns on NNPC as governors NLC query consumption figures. All right, governors wants 411 naira pump price. Say 3 trillion naira subsidy, not sensible. The federal government has wasted $10 billion on refineries rehabilitation. Labour is saying this. Federal government has wasted $10 billion on refineries rehabilitation all the while. That's what Labour is saying, and that's on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. Let's go to Blueprint now. Blueprint says El Rufai on Kauru Zangon Kataf crisis. We lost 387 lives in 2 years to needless bloodshed. We lost 387 lives in 2 years to needless bloodshed. Nigeria fast returning to barbarism. ACF is saying this, and Forum to meet Afenifere Ohaneze, others, and Kaduna seeks recourse to law peace campaigns. All right, all that on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. All right, this Nigeria is next. Direct deduction from Federation account. Rivers floors federal government. Court stops direct allocations to police trust fund and orders refund of earlier deductions to River State. All that on the front page of this Nigeria. The Nigerian Tribune is next, and it says Rivers flaws the federal government, and the court bars direct funding of police from federation account, orders refund to Rivers. That's what the Nigerian Tribune has here. Okay, from there let's go to Daily Times, and it's talking about 2023. Don't endorse presidential aspirants, ACF warns members. Says forum, not a political party, but will only engage candidates to find out their plans for the North. Don't endorse presidential aspirants, ACF warns members. All right, of course there's a difference between aspirants and candidates in the Nigerian context. All right, that's Daily Times. News Direct is next, and it says 1.2 trillion naira MDA's unremitted revenue in banks. The House of Representatives is saying this. 1.2 trillion naira MDA's unremitted revenue are all in banks. Uncovers 45.85 million bank accounts without BVN. Okay, now these are all the issues. Of course, we'll look at this as well as we get along. National economy is next. 8 years after, 46 million bank accounts still without BVN. National economy says 8 years after, 46 million bank accounts still without BVN. And reps fumed over federal government's 1.2 trillion naira unremitted funds in banks since 2016. Okay, these are all some of the issues. Business Day is the last one we're looking at. Hospitals struggle to retain staff amid migration tsunami. Hospitals struggle to retain staff amid migration tsunami. That's what Business Day is reporting. Okay, now I'd like us to talk about, gentlemen, I'd like us to talk about this, the story on News Direct and Business Day, but let's first touch on this 3 trillion naira that is shaking everywhere from the demand that the federal government is making through NNPC to say we need 3 trillion naira for subsidy in the year 2022. Dari, I'd like to start with you here. We just talked about the issue of corruption perception index, and the governors are already arguing that the figures that they put out there are not right. In fact, they use the word fraud if some of the headlines here are anything to go by. NLC is also disagreeing, saying, no, these are not the figures. If you have to check, really, these are not the figures. These figures are not realistic, and all of that. And these are the benchmarks which the federal government is pitching the 3 trillion naira to say we need this to be able to, meet the demands for fuel in the country.
Well, thank you, Mike. I think since Tuesday when this back and forth started, I've been trying to ask one question and make some calculations. The question is, how much will it cost us, one, to build a new refinery? 2, how much will it cost us to truly and sincerely fix just 1 or 2 of our old moribund refineries? I'm still looking for answers. I believe financial experts and those in the field listening to us should help us put figures to these questions. Why am I asking? I ask because if we are going to spend in 1 year 3 trillion naira to cushion subsidy, to ensure we get subsidized fuel in our cars and generators, if we don't have an idea of what it will cost us, if we persevere for a year, 2 or 3, and that will give us a new refinery that will drastically cut off this national malady, national load, as I want to carry it, call it. I don't want to carry it. Let them continue to carry that.
But we are all carrying it somehow.
That's exactly the issue. the brunt is on all of us. And now, you see, Nigeria is a wonderful place. Let's put it that way.
I like the way you use wonderful.
A wonderful place. The same issue we've been on for 20 years. The issue of subsidy and the insincerity behind its execution has been on for decades. We are back there now. The same government that have defended this cost in the past, that have hit when suddenly we realized we've been paying subsidy in the last 6 years. This was hidden from us. It was shrouded in secrecy. And when I remember that this government, this administration, the Buhari administration, came into power on the strength of promises like removing subsidy, I really feel bad. We were deceived. Assuming without conceding, like lawyers say, that when they now get into office, they realize that, oh, we can't remove subsidy without hurting the populace, as they are claiming now. Why did they hide it from us? Subsidy has not been in the budget for a while. Only for us to discover that allegedly they've been paying subsidy direct from sales of crude oil, which is against the constitution. Ministers kept quiet, governors kept quiet until now, when they realized that those deductions are actually affecting what they get to run their state. That's why we are hearing all this now. They were deducting and paying subsidy from source. Check our constitution and what it says about remittances and sharing allocations. That is against the provisions of our laws and letters.
All right.
However, now that we all understand that this is the huge load we are carrying as a nation, the earlier we sit down and decide the best way going forward to remove this burden without transferring the implication on the people, the better for all of us.
All right. Now, Dr. Ekere, the point there is, we talked about this subsidy, and much of it boils down to the fact that we're not refining our crude oil here. So we have to import, and every liter of crude oil that is, or fuel, petrol that is imported, somehow there has to be subsidy so that Nigerians, now NLC is saying, and Nigerians are saying, build new refineries or ensure that the modular refineries work, or our refineries that we have, let them all work, and all of that. They are not working. We're not seeing all of the new modular refineries yet, apart from one or two, as the case may be, like in Edo State and a few other places. Now we have the almighty Dangote refineries coming. Do you see this as a game changer, that at the end of the day, because we are hoping from the reports that came out a few days ago, that by September, Dangote refineries will start producing in full-fledged. So are we seeing that as the almighty game changer?
Well, thank you. I'm yet to see that happen, because in the first instance, Dangote is a private businessman. I don't know if there is any agreement between Dangote refineries and the federal government that you will sell at a regulated price as well. But if the man is going to operate as a private businessman, what is the guarantee that he will even sell the fuel here in Nigeria? If all that we are claiming is anything to go by, that will be subsidized.
From reports, Ghana already met with them to try to see how they can, try and allocate a quota.
Good.
For them at the Dangote refinery.
So, assuming that price is higher than what we are getting here, who tells us that Dangote will not embrace that option? Except it is the federal government that built the refinery. But as long as, for what we know, Dangote is the one who did it, who owns it, there's a likelihood that the man might take the product anywhere that he feels the market will be convenient for him.
Yeah, but we also know the federal government has bought into, or has at least put a stake also in the refinery.
The stake will not control. I don't think the federal government has a controlling stake there. So now, when you look at it from that angle, and looking at this issue of 3 trillion being proposed or approved for subsidy, that will give you the imagination of what has been happening. So is it that we'll be spending 3 trillion over the past 6 years each year? on this same issue? Because, or is it that it is this year's own that is going to be higher? Because that will give you an idea. What, like my friend here has just mentioned, what does it take to build a refinery? How much is Dangote spending? Or how much has he spent to bring his own refinery to that level?
The biggest refinery for that matter.
So you look at it from that angle, you discover that we have a government that is inept. We have a government that is, just, swimming in incompetence. Because, or even fraud. If you spend so much money without telling us that you'll be spending this money on what you claim does not exist, it means it is going to private pocket, because you told us from the beginning that this thing is a fraud. There's nothing like that. And at the end of the day, you are sponsoring something of that nature, because you have just told us now that over the years you'll be spending 3 trillion naira on subsidy. What are you really subsidizing? Because this is a product that you have yourself. It's like you built a house, you live in the house, then you have a tenant who is paying 500,000 for instance for a 3-bedroom flat. You say you are subsidizing your stay. You own the house, for God's sake. What are you subsidizing there? So if you decide on your own to pay the rent to yourself, it's still your. So in this particular, we are not really doing anything subsidy. The government is simply punishing Nigerians. And for me, as one who has come from the south, from whose soil oil is being, extracted, I want to think that the way forward should be, let's leave these resources to the states to handle. If my state cannot build a refinery to cushion the effect of the oil exploration in my area that has taken, devastated the entire environment. If we cannot do that, so be it. Then let's go elsewhere and buy this fuel. There are countries in this world who have oil, who don't even drill oil. They don't exploit. And yet they drive cars there. This is what we're talking about. It's not diesel. It's not any other thing. Just this petrol, PMS. That's what is subsidized. So what are we saying? Do we consume more fuel that is PMS than diesel in Nigeria? Do we? So if we are spending this much, what is the cost of diesel? How come it is still running? I know a liter is around maybe 300 or something. Now this one that we are talking about that you want to spend, how much are we making from diesel that you are not subsidizing? So that tells you that something is going on. So there are people who are good in economics and statistics. But I don't know statistics most times is a challenge. Because you just hear this job is 75% complete. That's what you hear. You get to the place, you begin to wonder where is the 100% of it and the rest of it. So these are the challenges we are having. For me, the government has not done well as far as this issue of subsidy is concerned. And if you are threatening us that you're going to remove it as if it exists, because so far from what is being presented, there is no subsidy. The product is ours. It's a question of, if you cannot refine, give it to a refinery somewhere, refine this, and let's have the product. We do, sharing of whatever. Refine it for me. I take this. That is how you run a business. If I have a material, for instance, if I have something I want to sell, and I know that you are the one that has a higher capacity to sell it, what stops me from having a bargain with it?
The point there is, some analysts have said, the point that the product is yours, right? Is extracted from you. So you pay for the transportation to where, if the refinery is not within your shores, you pay for the transportation, pay for the cost of refining, pay for the transportation back. That is what it's supposed to be.
But so in Nigeria. let me give you let me share my layman's view of what is happening. The product is yours. You don't have the refinery. But you know your neighbors, your business partners, your friends who has refineries. But rather than take your product like you suggested, put it inside badges, transport it to them, pay for a refinery and bring it back and sell, you refuse to do that. Because this is Nigeria. And what you are doing is simple. You are creating job for the boys. Instead of that direct transaction, you now bring in middlemen. That is just the problem. That's the whole noise about subsidy, let me tell you. You now bring in middlemen who are nationals like you and some expatriates in some cases to say, come, first buy my crude from me. Take the crude you have taken from me anywhere you like, refine it, bring it back, and sell to me. You decide the price. Two things are behind the subsidy fraud as it is. You are left to decide the price. In the same context where I could have decided what happened as the final, the first owner and final user. I'm the first owner and the final user. I could have decided how it goes by simply take these buyers, refine, bring back, we'll pay this, then. But I leave you to decide what you sell. One.
When it's not mine, when it is yours.
Yes, mine.
This
the second issue and the most serious one is the issue of quantity. You also decide how much you have sold, which I must subsidize for you. It's simple. If you they bring in 100 buyers and sell with little or no supervision by the government, then you know they have used their own money on that. They now sell at subsidized rate, the 100 buyers. But when they want to collect subsidy payments for government, they claim to have sold 1 million buyers. So they get paid for 900,000 buyers that they did not bring into the country.
All right.
The other side of it is most of them also take this, they take it outside the country, sell it at normal price, and they will sell their product and still come back to the government and collect subsidy. But government is aiding all this because some officials in government are also benefiting. Very sadly, NNPC now deducts subsidy fund direct from source. That is why the figure has been on the rise, because they are not judges in their own cases. They decide the number of buyers to be subsidized. They decide what should be paid. They decide who should take it. They decide where it should be paid. And then nobody, not even Mr. President, can have a grip on what is happening in that sector. All right. It's so unfortunate.
Yeah, Dr. Ekere, just before we go.
Is a government on its own from that. But look at it this way. We do plant cassava, and I know that not every farmer has a mill to grind the
exactly
cassava. So you take your cassava to the mill, you grind, you come back and process your garri and the rest and sell. So where comes the issue of subsidy in such a case? You simply pay for this. It's a service. Refining is a service, and there are a lot of countries that have refineries who don't even produce oil. What stops you from just taking this product there? At what cost do you refine? You do that and bring back. But in this case, you even transport the crude to whoever is buying. And at the end of the day, you are the same person who will now transport the refined product. So why will you take charge of all the suffering? And at the end of the day, somebody somewhere just enjoying it.
That said, Nigeria is a wonderful country.
This is not just Nigeria. It's really very annoying. Sometimes when you hear all this discussion about subsidy, and somebody is so courageous to tell you that there is subsidy, they want to remove it. Oh, we will remove it now, as if they are doing you a favor. It's really very annoying.
All right, we wait to see how these issues will pan out. We always pray for Nigeria, and Nigerians, Christians, Muslims, everyone has been praying for Nigeria every day, every week.
But it's time for us to take Nigeria. We need to take it over as our own.
Acting is what we want.
So we need to take it
action. Like, for instance, on the News Direct, it says about 1.2 trillion naira MDA unremitted funds are still at the banks.
Some banks.
48 million bank accounts without BVNs.
At the time when you told us all of us must get BVN.
So 1.something trillion is already there somewhere.
Well, government might still act. We're still waiting. Thank you so much, Dr. Ekere, for coming on the program.
It's really annoying, Mike. Thank you.
Calm down, over well. Thank you. Just be coming down. You remember?
That boy is really
thank you so much.
very wonderful.
Thank you.
Mike, be coming down.
Yeah, I'll be coming down.